It's happening. The rumors that fans whispered about for months are finally beginning to take shape. Randy Orton's WWE return is closer than anyone expected, and what's going on behind the scenes right now might be one of the most divided creative discussions WWE has had in years. Multiple reports claim that WWE officials are split on how exactly to book the Viper when he finally steps back into the spotlight. Should he come back as a ruthless heel, the sadistic legend killer fans grew up fearing? Or should he return as a fan-favorite hero after more than a year on the sidelines? That debate is tearing creative teams apart, and it's creating more anticipation than ever for one of the most iconic superstars of this generation. Randy Orton has always been one of WWE's most complex characters, cold, precise, unpredictable. And now, with the company's current mix of rising stars and veterans, his comeback has the potential to shift the entire power balance. Insiders say Orton's return could happen as early as the next premium live event, but no one in WWE seems to agree on what kind of story should mark his re-entry. On one side, you have those who believe the only way to bring him back is through a shocking heel moment, a sudden RKO out of nowhere to a beloved babyface, reminding everyone why he's called the Viper. On the other hand, a growing number of voices backstage think this might be the moment to let fans embrace him fully. As a grizzled veteran who's earned his redemption after battling serious back injuries, that injury, of course, changed everything. In mid-2022, Randy Orton was forced to step away after a devastating back issue that required extensive rehabilitation and left his in-ring future in doubt. Fans feared it could be the end of his career. Even some WWE doctors reportedly advised him to consider retirement. But Orton, being Orton, refused to fade away quietly. He's been training privately, testing his limits and working to prove that he can still go at the highest level. And now, nearly 18 months later, the signs are all pointing to his return being inevitable. The question isn't if anymore, it's how. WWE has been laying subtle groundwork for weeks. Mentions of Orton's legacy have started popping up on commentary. Footage of classic RKOs has reappeared in promo packages. Some fans even caught the sly references dropped by Riddle before his release, suggesting that the snake isn't gone yet. Everything feels like the calm before the strike. But as always with Randy Orton, timing is everything. WWE knows that when you pull the trigger on his return, it has to feel seismic, like the kind of moment that changes storylines overnight. Backstage, creative minds have reportedly pitched multiple versions of his comeback. One plan suggests bringing Orton back as a heel aligned with the Judgment Day, forming a shocking alliance that would immediately elevate the group's threat level, while giving Orton new, younger allies to manipulate. Imagine the visual. Randy standing next to Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, and Finn Balor, smiling coldly as the crowd loses it. It would be chaos. But the counter-argument is that such an alignment could overshadow the current members and dilute Orton's individuality, especially given how strong his character already is on his own. Another concept being discussed involves Orton returning as a solo force, targeting Cody Rhodes. Their shared history is deep, going all the way back to their days in Legacy. Bringing that full circle could give WWE one of the most emotionally charged rivalries in years. Cody's story has been about finishing his father's dream. But what happens when a former mentor decides to test that dream's strength? Orton could play the role of the final trial, the veteran who knows Cody better than anyone and isn't afraid to expose his weaknesses. The promos, the tension, the storytelling, it writes itself. But the fan-favorite idea circulating among the audience right now is a babyface comeback, with Orton returning to challenge the bloodline. Fans are craving a new challenger who feels legitimate, someone who can stand toe-to-toe with Roman Reigns without needing validation. A returning Orton, vowing revenge for everything that's changed since he's been gone, could become the wild card that shakes the entire system. His history with Roman, his veteran credibility, and his RKO unpredictability make him the perfect weapon for chaos. The crowd would explode for that. The split backstage isn't just about alignment. It's also about tone. How dark should this Randy Orton be? Should he lean into the cold, methodical side that once made him one of the most feared heels of all time? Or should he evolve into a grittier version of himself, someone who's seen it all, broken his body for decades, and now stands as a dangerous anti-hero who doesn't play by anyone's rules. The latter would fit WWE's current style perfectly, blending realism with nostalgia. According to a few insiders, Triple H wants to give Orton full creative input in his return storyline. That's a massive sign of respect, and an indication that WWE knows how important this comeback is. Orton's been part of every major era since the early 2000s, and he's one of the last remaining bridges between the ruthless aggression generation and today's modern roster. His influence stretches across decades. He's faced Cena, Triple H, The Undertaker, and now he's set to face a locker room full of stars who grew up idolizing him. That dynamic alone is powerful. Gives him an authority and mystique that no one else can replicate. And speaking of mystique, Randy's timing could be perfect. He is on a creative high right now, with record-breaking attendance, viral segments, and a surge of new talent. But even with all that, there's a hunger for legacy, a desire to connect today's WWE with the legends who built it. That's where Orton fits like a glove. He's the embodiment of consistency, no matter who comes and goes. Randy Orton has always been there, coiled, waiting to strike again. Fans on social media are already fantasizing about possible first feuds. Drew McIntyre is one name that keeps coming up. Their chemistry in the ring is undeniable, and McIntyre's recent darker tone could make for an explosive clash. Others suggest a showdown with Gunther, whose technical style could blend beautifully with Orton's cold precision. A battle of dominance, control, and psychology. But perhaps the most talked about dream scenario remains: Orton versus Roman Reigns. A match that feels almost destined at this point. What's making this whole situation even more exciting is the secrecy around Orton's condition. While he's been seen training, no one outside his close circle knows just how ring-ready he is. If WWE decides to keep things under wraps until the very last second, the shock factor will be unreal. Imagine the lights cutting out during a major match, the crowd going silent, and that familiar Voices theme blasting through the arena. It's the kind of return moment that defines eras. Randy Orton's comeback also represents something deeper: resilience. At 43, with decades of wear and tear, most wrestlers would have hung it up. But Orton's always been different. He's evolved countless times, from the cocky legend killer to the apex predator, from a cold-blooded heel to an unlikely crowd favorite. Every evolution has kept him relevant. This time it's not just another phase, it's legacy on the line. He's not returning to rebuild, he's returning to remind. Insiders believe WWE wants his next run to be meaningful, not just a nostalgia pop. That means storylines with substance, rivalries with emotional depth, and perhaps even a title chase that reaffirms his greatness. Some say he's being considered for a slow-burn world title storyline that could stretch into WrestleMania season. If so, WWE might be looking to craft one last iconic arc, a redemption tour that cements him as one of the greatest to ever do it. The beauty of Randy Orton's return is that no matter what path WWE chooses, fans win. If he returns as a heel, we get the cold, venomous version that thrives on chaos and destruction. If he comes back as a face, we get the veteran warrior fighting one last battle. Either way, the energy he brings will elevate everything around him. Younger stars will benefit from working with him. The audience will reconnect with a legend, and WWE will gain another creative anchor as it builds toward its next phase. And maybe that's why WWE officials are split, because there's no wrong answer here. Every option feels big. Every storyline feels possible. Randy Orton is that rare talent who can fit anywhere and make it feel like the center of the universe. That's his power. That's his gift. He doesn't just wrestle in storylines. He is the storyline. As fans count down the days, one thing's clear. When the Viper finally returns, it won't just be another pop, another comeback. It'll be a statement. The kind of statement only Randy Orton can make. Cold, deliberate, and unforgettable. Because in WWE, when you hear those voices in your head, you already know what's coming next.